And we move on to video number 3. What we're going to do now is look at 3 different parallel analyses. What I'm going to do right now is take a look at student example number 1 of a parallel analysis. It's in a PDF form again, and I apologize for that. And this is Seamus O'Malley. As you know, Seamus O'Malley is my pseudonym as a student in my class. And so this is a great parallel analysis. Okay, so we have the header here, the heading here. You've all read your MLA format, so you know exactly what's going on here. My title is The Weak and the Strong, and it's a summary and analysis of the nursery rhyme Jack and Jill. Jack and Jill, written by an unknown author, is about 2 children who head up a hill and what happens to them when they both fall. The setting is outside on various parts of a hill. The protagonist's name is Jack. His motivation is to get water, while his antagonist is the hill itself. This is the first paragraph. This is your intro paragraph. You must identify the piece of literature, identify the author. In this case, there isn't one. Tell me what's going on in the story. It's called the mini plot. And here it's about 2 children who head up a hill and what happens to them when they both fall. I need to know the setting or what happened, where things are happening. The setting is outside on various parts of a hill. I need you to identify the protagonist. The protagonist's name is Jack. I need you to identify his motivation. His motivation is to get water. And I need you to identify the antagonist, the person or thing that's keeping the protagonist from getting what he or she wants. So, and here I'm saying it's the hill itself. Now, this next paragraph is the body paragraph. You need, in the very first sentence, to tell me exactly what the parallel is. You're going to say, this nursery rhyme means that. And so I do that. I say, in this nursery rhyme, we see a parallel, which means a mirror or a reflection. In this nursery rhyme, we see a parallel to the egoism of the business world, hyphen, and you're all going to put a hyphen there. Specifically, make sure you use the specifically. It's going to make you get really specific. The present day BP oil crisis. Some of you don't even know what the BP oil crisis is. And when Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf of Mexico and Louisiana, and specifically, and ruined everything for everyone down there for a very long time. If you don't know what the BP oil crisis is, you really should. As a matter of fact, BP, which is British Petroleum Company, just paid the United States a couple of $1 billion the other day in damages. But anyway, you might want to Google this if you'd like. Anyway, I'm saying it's specific to the BP oil crisis. My next sentence begins with the words, for example. Your second sentence will begin with, for example. Jack represents the selfish, self-centered British Petroleum Company CEO who only cares about his financial wealth after the fall or collapse of his business. So immediately I've told you Jack represents the bad guys. Now I need to prove it. The passage that hints at this mirror image, and for this assignment, if you would like to use the phrase hints at this mirror image, I will not consider it plagiarism. The passage that hints at this mirror image is, after falling down the hill with Jill, and you need to use a passage from the literature, so you're going to put a quote mark and you're going to put, up got Jack and home did trot as fast as he could caper. Because there is no author for this nursery rhyme, whenever you are quoting any pieces of literature from a story that has no author, you always use the first word in the title, and here it's Jack. So we're putting Jack. 5 and 6 refers to lines 5 and 6. Now, and you don't have to do this, but when I was doing this and giving it out to my students a couple of years ago, many of them said, Roxanne, what does it mean to caper? I don't get it. So I thought, oh, I'll just put it in. So according to dictionary.com, caper means to jump about, and this is how I cited it. And you know this from reading your 6-page MLA format paper that's in your packet. So after falling down the hill, Jack jumps about, then rushes home to take care of his wound by binding his head with vinegar and brown paper. The injury, let me scoot this up a little bit. The injury to Jack's head is so substantial he needs to be bandaged and treated with antiseptic, the vinegar. And vinegar is still an antiseptic. It also cleans your windows really well if you've got dirty windows. On the other hand, Jill represents the BP oil workers killed when the oil platform explodes. They also fell down the hill. However, unlike the BP CEOs, the oil platform workers, represented by Jill, so make sure that I know who's what. Jill represents the oil platform workers. Jack represents the selfish CEOs, are left at the bottom of the hill, or in this case, the ocean, with no help at all. We can infer that Jack gets better from his treatment. There is no mention of Jill surviving or even getting up after the fall, which parallels the 11 dead and 17 severely injured BP oil workers. Some survive and some do not, and the Jacks of the world do not care. This is a parallel analysis, and it's 1 page long. It doesn't have to go 2 pages. Okay, so this is the first one that I want you to look at. I'm going to show you one that's a little easier to understand, and then I'm going to show you one that's very advanced, and then you get to pick which one you want to do. So we're done with the weak and the strong.